Good morning, YouTube, and welcome back to Fernvalley Farms Beekeeping Channel. You're new to the channel. My name is Vince, and welcome. And this is the channel you want to come to watch beekeeping videos. All right, this is kind of like more of a beginner type video. I do one of these every year. It's on that. See that? That's called goldenrod. And for beginners, especially, and I really never paid any attention to this stuff until I started doing bees. Goldenrod is our second nectar flow. Depending on where you live in the country is when it blooms. Here in northern Illinois, it pops up about mid-August. And a lot of these videos, when I do these videos, especially this one, I try and get these out right away. I don't put it out 3 or 4 months later when it's past the time, because you need to know what's going on. So I'm gonna get the goldenrod video comes out. I try and put that out right about when it's blooming. And here again, if you're down south, it's already bloomed. If you're up north, it's coming now. But here again, this is more for beginners. Like I said, in the spring, up here, everywhere actually, in the spring, all your wildflowers start to bloom, your trees start to bloom, your nectar starts flowing. Down south, their nectar flow starts way earlier than it does up here. Up here, we don't start getting it maybe end of May. You know, it depends on the weather. You never know what kind of winter you have. So this about goldenrod is more. This video is for more up here, for the northern Illinois, northern part of the country, Wisconsin, Michigan, up this part of the country. When this stuff starts to bloom, this is our second nectar flow. We really never hit a dearth. Dearth means I forget the exact term for a dearth, but that pretty much means like in between. You got your rain in the spring, flowers, grass, everything is blooming. Everything starts to get dry and dies off, and you've got nothing going for a while, and that's a dearth. There's no nectar flowing. Everything's just kind of, the grass has gone dormant. Everything's just kind of brown, kind of like what it's doing here now. And then once you get some rain, things start to rebloom again. You kind of come out of it. So up here, the bees are foraging, and they're foraging. I just pulled my supers off, actually. And we really never hit a dearth up here. We've always had wildflowers still starting to bloom. And you can even see, let me see, it's kind of hard to see from here, but so we've never really stopped having wildflowers blooming. The clover's been pretty much going all year. And the more you cut clover, the more it grows. So if you mow your lawn, the clover comes back. So if you got bees, I kind of feel guilty cutting my grass sometimes because all that clover's out. But clover keeps coming back the more you cut it. But anyways, so everything starts to go dry and dormant, and then you've got nothing kind of going on for a while. That's when you might want to feed your bees. If they've got plenty of honey in there, that's fine. Pollen substitute feeder, which I have over there, if you can see it from here. Where's it at? See that weeping, that small right there, that weeping willow tree, that small one, the pollen feeder is right there. I've got a video on this. And there's dry pollen substitute in that if they need it. They still haven't touched it yet. This is a separate video, but if they're in your dry pollen feeder, that means they need pollen. There's nothing out there, but they haven't been in mine since I put it in a few weeks ago. They're still not touching it. But anyways, the goldenrod is your second nectar flow. So what happens is, like how I do it, I pull my supers off usually mid-August. And then when this stuff starts to bloom, the bees can start to replenish their hives. I just take my supers off. I don't take the honey out of the boxes. Unless they're really getting close to honey bound, then I'll pull some of them out and switch the frames out. But just normal situation, the bees will start storing this for the winter. This is, like I said, and there are people that harvest goldenrod honey. I've never done it. Like I said, I get to this time of year because fall starts coming on kind of quick. The days start getting shorter and nights getting colder. So I don't touch it. Whatever they bring in for their hives, I just leave it. If you're in a warmer climate, if I was in a warmer climate, I might try it, but I've never had goldenrod honey, so. But this is what it looks like up. Let me zoom this in. You can kind of see it. And like I said, once you start getting into beekeeping, you start noticing this stuff everywhere. We have so much of this stuff around, it's not even funny. It's everywhere. And it's just starting to bloom now. Let's see if I could focus this in here. If you can kind of see the yellow in the background, it's all just starting to bloom now. So you can see here it's all starting to bloom. Sorry for the squeak. This is my cheap tripod that I leave outside all the time. See it all there? And you can see it. It goes right down my pasture line here. If you can kind of see, it's not fully in bloom yet, but it's coming. And when you start driving around the countryside, you start noticing it. So just a quick little tip here on goldenrod. When you, like I said, if you pull your supers off, if there's not much in there, the bees will start replenishing with the goldenrod. And then you want to check your, when this stuff only lasts a couple of weeks. Once it dies off, it's done. Then you're really done. Then you got to start thinking about feeding your bees. So you might want to check, see how you might want to check the weight of your hives. That's what I'll do. I'll go through it. I'll see how much they weigh. I will feed them anyways. I usually feed each hive 4 to 5 gallons per hive. Last year I fed everybody 5 gallons, and it was plenty. Between the goldenrod and me feeding them, they didn't even finish half of it that was in the hive. I even put dry sugar out. They didn't even touch it. So I'm going to experiment this year and maybe do 3 to 4 gallons per hive. And one way you could tell if your bees are getting full, if you keep feeding it and they keep taking it, they need it. If you feed it, you come back a couple days later, it's not touched, then they're done. They've got everything kind of stored and set up. That's just kind of how I do it anyways. I'm not saying that every hive is going to react that way. But that's generally how it works. If you keep feeding them, they keep taking it, all of a sudden it stops, and there's honey in your soup, in your whatever kind of feeder you're using, and they're not touching it no more, that means they're full. And I'll do a video on it, but you feed a 2-to-1 sugar mix for the fall. 2-to-1 basically is 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of water. It makes it really thick, it stimulates, it imitates the nectar flow and the honey, and the bees will store that away. And then you do dry sugar, or I do dry sugar on top of that anyways, but when we get to that part, we don't want to talk about the cold weather yet. Let's enjoy the fall is coming. Anyways, the goldenrod is your second nectar flow. So my bees will all be, and I've got it like everywhere. It's starting to bloom. It's starting to pop up everywhere on the roadsides and the ditches. It's coming everywhere. So the bees will store up on that. And like I said, once this is done, then I'll start thinking about feeding. I got a treat and all that, but that's a whole other topic. So anyway, this is more for the beginners. Like I said, the goldenrod is your second nectar flow. You look forward to the goldenrod blooming. The bees will kind of stock up on that, fill their hives. But like I said, when it's done blooming, check the weight of your hives to see how much is in there. You're probably going to have to feed them. I do it regardless. I just feed them, but not as, like I said, this year I'm going to do a little bit less. And like I said, when you feed, if they stop taking it, that means they're full. But just check, and every hive is different. You can't say this is what's going to work for every single one of them. Every one of them can be different when you're feeding them. So anyways, that's it. Just a quick little tip on goldenrod. For the beginners, this is your second nectar flow. Here again, depending on where you live, is depending on where it blooms. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. All right, bye.